The side of this argument, those who are speaking out on behalf of Officer Darren Wilson. They held a rally this weekend, but you probably did not see it because not a single camera from a national news organization could show up for those supporting this officer. Robin Clearmountain was one of those demonstrators supporting Officer Darren Wilson. She's a former director of multicultural affairs for the Florissant, Missouri Police Department. Ma'am, good of you to be here tonight. And so tell us why you're supporting the officer.
Thank you. For many, many reasons, and all the reasons come from my heart. I've always had a deep love and respect for the men and women in law enforcement, especially who became police officers. And I really like to say that I adopted these people a long time ago. I would say from kindergarten. My father was a civil rights activist and on the forefront of early St. Louis politics and urban change, and he was a man who wore a suit and a white shirt and a tie to work every day and had an office downtown, but he knew how to talk to people. So I grew up with police officers in my home, seeing them on a regular basis, the camaraderie between my father, and in those days everything was very diplomatic. It was easier in many, many ways that had to do with social mores and things like that.
But what do you make of complaints?
Powerful, but
what do you make of complaints from others there? I mean, we just heard the head of the NAACP, Cornell Brooks, talk about his concerns about this prosecutor, for example, that he doesn't believe, and that he believes the black community doesn't believe, that that Michael Brown will get a fair, his family will get a fair shake before that man.
Well, that to me, that level of paranoia, mistrust is very disturbing to me. And I have to say personally, I voted for Bob McCullough because I like his style. He's tough, he's no nonsense, it's point A to point B. And honestly, ask yourself if there was a black prosecutor that took this case over and he lost, or the outcome was not what the black community expected or wanted, what would be said then? I don't know. What could we say then? Bob McCullough has the chops, and if you really think about it, in this situation, he's going to be extra careful.
Let me ask you one other question before I let you go. Why do you think we are not seeing more support from any African Americans for the officer's right to at least tell his story here?
That's kind of a question that has a historical ramification for it. It has a historical context, for one thing. Going back to slavery, there's always been this tension between the African American community, or what I prefer to call American African community, and law enforcement. That has a lot of historical context attached to it, and we can't disregard that. But at some point, you have to give people a chance. And as far as I'm concerned, anyone willing to take a bullet for me, or to jump in and save me from a catastrophic situation, that is family to me. And I have to support these people for the job they do. And as far as I'm concerned, there isn't enough money in the world to pay them for what they do. And I'm not ashamed or afraid to say that. Indirectly, I have police officers in my own family. The man I knew is my childhood best friend, Uncle John. We just called him Uncle John. You know, but there's, you know, you're talking about my family. I'm sorry, you're talking about my family, and you defend your family. You know,
thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Well.